I'm Clifford NXOMANI, and I head up the research infrastructure portfolio of the National Research Foundation of South Africa. We're talking today about the importance of research infrastructures, both at the national and international level, to find new ways and novel ways, if you like, of collaborating and partnering. So firstly, research infrastructures are the bedrock for cutting-edge research and science at a global level. They drive discovery science, they enable collaboration at the international level to do cutting-edge science that would not necessarily be possible if each nation state's research infrastructure was doing it by themselves. They provide opportunities for technological innovation, as well as, quite importantly, providing platforms for engaging with the public around the science that is being done by the research infrastructures and the science systems of countries. Quite importantly, they provide a platform as well for human capacity development, for training the next generations of scientists, engineers, and technologists. But it was become clear that over time, the need for research infrastructures to define new ways, particularly at a multilateral level, for collaborating and partnering. And that partnering allows them to become global players in terms of the science and research enterprise everywhere. But also, quite importantly, providing access to their researchers and postgraduate students to cutting-edge research infrastructures that they would not ordinarily have access to. It is in that context that the United Kingdom Research and Innovation, as well as the South African National Research Foundation, have formed a partnership and collaboration that has recently been codified in a memorandum of understanding that seeks to achieve a number of things. One is about how do we share experience, knowledge, and information about the operation, management, development, and leadership of the research infrastructures that are in our care. How do we develop frameworks for benchmarking, particularly the performance and the socioeconomic contribution of research infrastructures beyond the science and technology? And thirdly, and more practically, how do we develop human capacity in order to grow the next generation of scientists, engineers, and technologists, and particularly instrument scientists that will provide development and advancement opportunities for these research infrastructures. So the first practical manifestation of this MOU intent is the hosting of a joint hosted research infrastructure workshop by the UKRI and the South African NRF on the 20th of May this year. And amongst the objectives that we'd like to achieve through that is, one, looking at how do we highlight the contribution of research infrastructures to socioeconomic development, particularly to address challenges of a global nature. And the COVID-19 pandemic will be an example that we are utilizing there. We'll also look at collaborations and partnerships between UK and South Africa beyond just that between the NRF and the UKRI. And thirdly, we will be also looking at how do we diversify and advance inclusion within the context of the research workforces that have to be found in the research infrastructures that we host in our respective countries. And the joint workshop that we're going to be hosting between by the UKRI and the NRF will also act as a build-up to the International Conference on Research Infrastructures, which happens in early next month. So in conclusion, really, it is key to research infrastructures, both at a national and multilateral level, is going to require a mind shift along a number of areas. Firstly, about how do we define participation in this multilateral collaborative research infrastructure setups. Secondly, how do we understand and recognize the collateral benefits that especially less endowed nations will seek to derive from their investments in these research infrastructures. Thirdly, we're going to have to think about how do we formulate frameworks determining the socio-economic impact of research infrastructures generally, but particularly those at a multilateral level, given the nature and the level of the investment that is required to be part of that. We have to think about how do we grow the next generation of scientists, engineers, and technologists who are going to become the future leaders and operators of the research infrastructures that we have, particularly again at a multilateral level. So with all that, I thank you and I wish you well in all your deliberations.